I must say it. Welcome to the number one
Thank you.
faith-based motivational and inspirational broadcast platform, GMAP Broadcast Network. Steve Hamilton is here. One of my favorites. One of our featured authors here on the GMAP Broadcast Network. I'm just so grateful because you don't find individuals, quote unquote, and or friends like you. And I don't need to stroke your ego. I just need to tell you the truth. And that's not difficult to do. There's very few people that I can call my friend, and I can probably use one hand to do it. How you doing?
I'm fairly good. I've had a busy morning. I finished a program in Ireland, so I'm now coming to you from Canada. But it's been a busy morning, and I'm good. Thanks, Kevin, for asking.
Tell us about you, man. Introduce yourself to the people around the world. Who is Steve Hamilton?
I am the author of a scandal of the particular, as you know. I am a former Crown prosecutor in Canada for over 30 years. I prosecuted many offenses, everything from impaired driving to murder. And now I'm a writer of fiction. And I've been grateful to your network for letting me speak about my book, A Scandal of the Particular.
Well, it, it's an honor to speak about your publication and have you be grateful for that. But it's a honor uh, for you to accept the invitation to be here. Stay right there, Steve. I want to show the viewers and the listeners something. Stay close. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Is it that is a it's a done deal. I'm just gonna say I'm gonna put a voiceover and some music behind that trailer to garner even more attention. It's a very nice trailer, and I know people can and should read, and we must be focused on encouraging them to do so. Tell us about Scandal, a Scandal of the Particular, if you don't mind.
Sure. Well, it's let me try to explain the book. The book is really a book about the victim's journey, if I can talk about that. Uh, you know, one of the scenarios in the book deals with two indigenous women who were in a residential school who were raped by the staff members there. And so they are constantly told by both legal professionals and also by psychologists or psychiatrists that it's not their fault. And the problem with that is that, and I've done that myself with victims of crime. I've told people many times it's not their fault. When they pose the question, why did this happen to me? The problem with that, Kevin, is if it's not your fault, fault is something, if you accept it is your fault, it's something you can do something about. When the fault lies outside of you with others, it may not be a situation where you're able to resolve the situation because you're dependent on others. So our justice system deals with the finding of guilt and fault in a system that is flawed because individuals are flawed, and we try to seek justice within that framework. So the book is a study of that in terms of uh, a fictional character who is a lawyer who is struggling with his relationships, struggling with his caseload, and trying to find justice for himself personally and also professionally. So that's what the book is about.
Wow. I'm I'm sure, positive that it's uh it's going to be for me a fabulous read, but I also know that it's going to be a outstanding read for others around the world, viewers, listeners. Um, so I want to, before we even continue, can just kind of encourage people to show their support. Love, care, concern, and support is very important here, and we want you to do just that because if you don't know, now you know Steve is one of our featured authors on the GMAP Broadcast Network and will remain for quite some time. But we want you to stop by our platform. Click on the book cover. Let the book let it take you to the necessary location to find out more intimate information and details about the author as well as the publication. And I'm sure it's going to guide you to an area where you can show your support. But we're going to hear that from Steve real quickly. If they wanted to show their support, Steve, what's the process for them to do so?
Well, as I've said before, I'm not in an ivory tower. I can be reached through my website that is linked to the book, and you can contact me at any point in time to voice your opinions or your concerns or your questions, and I welcome all of those. That's the easiest way to contact me. The book can be purchased through a number of avenues: Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Target, and a lot of others that are listed and linked to the website to make it easy for those that want to read the book to acquire their own copy.
And of course, we want to make sure that the people around the world, the viewers, the listeners, they are aware that we would recommend, encourage, and invite them leave a review. Leave a review, especially when you go to Amazon. Leave a review for the appreciation of Steve, and of course, you know, I know he'll appreciate it. And Amazon will appreciate you leaving that review. We want to know what you think. We want to know how you feel. We want to know if you like and or dislike. And of course, I'll appreciate it if you leave a review. It's so important. It's important for the author. It's important for Amazon. It's important for you. Yeah, I tell you, just leave a review. It's important to do so. And of course, we we are in a situation now, Steve, to where we want to find out what's next for you. We want to find out where do you go from here. We look over your journey. We know where you come from. We know where you are. But what's next? I mean, where do you see yourself going from this day forward?
Well, I think there's two things I'd like to announce today, and one is I'd like to team up with your ministry. been thinking about it, meditating on it, and what I would like to do is that for the next month of November, I would like to give a portion that is received from my book sales back to the ministry, and to help you in terms of your journey, and to put those monies, a portion of those sales, directly towards what you're doing to encourage you, especially with the holiday season coming up and the many challenges that you've lately been faced with. The second thing is that my next book is called Appalachia, The Forgotten Harvest. And it deals with folks that believe in God but trust in themselves, and are dealing with both the decline of the coal industry and the rise of the opiate crisis in West Virginia. So that's my next challenge in terms of writing. And that's my next book, which I'll be talking about later in the new year. So that's the two things that are part of my journey right now, and to just carry on that path in terms of what I'm doing career-wise.
Well, you know what that means? That means it's going to elevate my stance in pushing this book. I'm gonna push. I tell you, I'm gonna push like. Nah, I'm kidding. But I tell you, man, I thank you so much. I'm filled with gratitude because you just don't hear that every day. And our initial transaction and or you know what we accomplished initially to invite you and have you and have you accept being here was it, and we're grateful for that. But to hear someone say, they're willing to take a portion of what they make from this publication to help our ministry grow, because I don't think people understand, and if they do, they don't admit it. My wife accepted me doing this full time, all day, every day. And she could have easily said, wait a minute, get up, go get you an 8 hour, 9 hour, 10 hour job, place where you can retire, get health benefits, insurance, and so on and so forth. But she said no. She said, whatever it takes, keep going. I have my good days, I have my great days, and I have my bad days. And it has become very acceptable. Unfortunately, Steve, my bad days come around the holidays because people are really not trying to invest in promoting themselves, their services, right, or their products. Right. So my bad days come during the holidays, and it's a challenge, but it's okay. Recently, people just don't know. It's been a tough time, as you said, for me, because I'm coming off of a stroke about 4 months ago, and that's been a challenge just to get everything back in working order, medication, a challenge to walk the way I used to write, talk, and just do things I used to do. And then my son, who's playing a varsity football for Zion Benton High School, he's been getting very disappointed because he was hurt. Right. He got hurt the first game, and then he came back the fourth game, and he got hurt again. And this time when he got hurt, he couldn't move, and it panicked our entire family.
Sure.
But now, to God be the glory, I'm going to go out tomorrow, and I'm going to watch my son play.
Fantastic.
So that's a shouting moment.
Well, you know what the message here is, Kev, is that we all, and I encourage your listenership too, to give back to move forward.
Yeah.
I want to move forward and on my journey, and I want you to move forward, but we have to give back to move forward. I honestly believe that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether it's tithing, whether it's helping out charities, whether it's helping out those that are in need.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've heard from your heart that you're in need.
Yeah.
Now, I can either put that to a deaf ear, or I can partner with you
Mm-hmm.
to move forward. And that's what I'd like to do if you're
Right.
willing.
Absolutely. And like I said, it's something that it just goes back to what we discussed about a week ago. The choices we make, the decisions we make. What lasting effect will it have on our future? See, people sometimes, Steve, don't understand the choices we make in our younger years has a huge lasting effect on us and those around us in our latter years.
Are you talking about bad choices now, Kevin, or good choices?
I'm talking
Or
about
all choices?
both choices. And when I hear you say that, I mean, imagine what is possible. I mean, it's a choice. It's a choice you made. It's a decision you made. Just like it's a choice for me to do this every day. It's a choice. It's a choice. Every little thing to every major thing, everything comes from a thought in the back of our mind. Everything that we do, we think about it first. Everything.
I don't know if I believe in that, Kevin. I think that one of the greatest gifts that God gives us is intuition,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
not the conscious, the subconscious.
Yeah.
What is right, what is wrong,
Right.
what we can do to be the glory of God or to help someone. I think that comes from within or from God. So I think that those choices, if we listen to that voice, if we listen to our intuition, if I can call it that, our inner voice, or where God is in our hearts, if we listen to that, that can direct our journey.
But if we listen, Steve, if we listen, don't we then make a choice?
To act or not, that's the freedom of choice. That's the other greatest gift, isn't it?
Yes. So, boy, you just made my day with that. So we disagree to agree, because when you look at it, it all comes back around to the choices.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Okay.
I'm
So
so glad you're not a defense lawyer.
I am too, but boy, I tell you, I I cut my hair for a reason. I shave for a reason,
Hmm.
because I know that I right now would have gray hair. I would show you know what? I would show signs of stress
Hmm.
in my face, and it would show, I think. But
Hmm.
I just like feeling the way I feel with no hair at all. I cut my hair back in college, right before I went to Mississippi Valley State.
Wow.
I cut all of my hair off. You know why? Because I said I look funny, but they don't know I look funny. See, I cut my hair off because they've never seen me before, so they're gonna see me for the first time, and it's gonna be normal to them. When I was at back in high school, I had a Michael Jackson hairstyle.
Oh, my best friend had one of those. He used to put cigarettes directly into his hair and then pull them out. And I was amazed
Yeah,
at the things that he could hide in
yeah.
that fro.
I mean, I had a huge afro.
Wow.
I,
I didn't think you were that old.
I
I was in the 60s, my friend. I didn't think you
oh,
were that old.
hey man, I was in the '60s too. Not very late in the '60s. I
Not
was,
very much. Yeah.
but and then I, I got some what they call Shirley Temple curls.
The Jerry curl.
Yeah,
Oh, I love the Jerry curl.
yeah. Well, I didn't.
That's why you shaved it off.
Yeah, I did not like the Jerry curl. Now, Steve, you had you had sent me some information in my email that I
Mhm.
was unable to get to in time
Oh, okay.
to know
Yeah.
what was there.
Right. It was just a couple of maybe some questions that you could ask that would help you with the interview, but it seems to have gone fine without them. So don't
wait,
worry about it.
well, you know what? We have a we have a way of embracing great conversation no matter what. And
Well, thanks, Kevin. I appreciate that.
our conversation here live on the air is something that's very important for the viewers and listeners around the world. Now, let me say this. This is a very odd. This is a very odd connection. A former prosecutor best friends with a former felon.
Right.
Wow. I can say that that's something that's very unique. So, if my listen to this, Steve. If my felony ship ever comes back up, can you? Yeah, I just made that word up. If my felony ship ever comes back up, will you represent me?
I've told you before, Kevin, I've got your back both personally and professionally. I'm not licensed probably in your state to practice, but I'd come down and advise. So,
Hey,
I would help you in any way that I can.
wow,
So you
that's
can
just
always
good to
count
know.
on that.
That's just good to know. I'm sure my felony ship, I don't even know if that's a word, won't ever come up again. But because they don't even allow us to write checks anymore, do they?
Well, let's talk about a pardon.
Yeah,
Have you ever
yeah.
sought a pardon, Kevin? Like a pardon means it's very based on Christian principles. It means that all of your sins are forgiven and they are
Mm,
wiped clean.
yeah,
Why not get a pardon?
yeah. I,
Why
I,
don't you seek out a pardon?
well, you know what? It's
Have you looked into it?
no. I've never even
You
thought.
should.
I've never even thought of it.
It
And
it means that any record of any charges or anything is gone.
okay, okay, okay. Now, does it really go away?
Yeah, it goes away. You've been pardoned
Okay, officially,
officially.
you've been pardoned.
That's
But
right. So if an authority stopped you, not that you'd be speeding, or if they pulled you aside and they said, "Do you have a criminal record?" You could say, "No."
mm, okay. Well, they can't stop me from speeding on my bike.
Hmm.
They might try.
They might
They
try, but they
might
may
try.
not be able to catch you. You used to
Yeah.
be fast in your
Yeah.
younger days, but they
Hey,
might be able to
hey,
catch you now.
hey. Now, in my hey,
Hey,
you.
you're 57. Come
Yeah.
on.
Well, I'm not claiming it though. Only to you.
Yeah, well,
But yeah, it's so nice. But I mean, just speaking of that, pardon. I'm glad you brought that up. Just speaking of that, when that happens, or if it ever happens, and they pull your record up and you say no, and you know yet you receive some sort of citation, charge, or what have you,
mhm.
go to court. They do their research. Now, they don't try you or determine a decision about you without going back over your history. And does those pardoned charges ever come up in the back room?
Uh, oh, you mean between the lawyers or the judges, or
Yeah,
is that what you're asking
yeah,
me?
yeah,
Well, they say future behavior is based upon or predicted by the past,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
They
Mm-hmm.
say a leopard doesn't change its spots. You've heard all the phrases,
Right.
but they're not true. They're not true. A person can change, right?
That's right. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. So,
And you're presumed innocent, right?
Yes, that's what they say.
but you know whether or not you're guilty, right?
Yes, that's true.
Right.
That's true.
That's true.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, you're a great. You're a great. What they call it, conversationalist. But I want to find out. You had a couple of. I'm just getting off track here. You had a couple of questions lined up
Sure.
for me in my email. I was unable
Mhm.
to get to them before this conversation. But what type of questions did you have?
Oh, okay. Let me touch on them.
Okay.
One of the questions was, what was the most surprising thing that you learned in creating your book?
Yeah.
I've been asked that question, and what I was my answer to that is I was re- surprised by the response of others, and what I mean by that is that many folks that once they knew the book was written contacted me in the hopes of shaping what was in the book, and I'm
Mm.
speaking of judges or other lawyers or that they were concerned about how they were portrayed, what information would cause them others to think about them. And so it brought about a self-awareness that I didn't expect would be brought up, an introspection, a questioning of how people see me in terms of how they were looking at it. And I didn't expect that. It's a fictional book. It's not about a particular person, although Hemingway once said, and I quote it often, is that the function of a writer is to reveal reality. And so it caused many people to look at themselves that are in the justice system that know me to question about how they are perceived by others and how they go ahead. So that
Wow.
was something I didn't expect.
Right. Well, and and that was a great response. And I'm sure that there are some young authors out there, or even seasoned authors, that would probably look at something like that and say they would look for a response such as yours, and they would say, well, what do I have to do? What's my direction? What's my plan? How do I respond? And you know, I think I think they're going to learn a lot from what you have to share. Number one, about your personal journey, but your journey as an author. Um, what were some of the other questions that were pertaining in that email that you don't mind sharing
Oh, no, I
with
don't
our
mind at
viewers?
all. One of the questions was, as a child, what did you want to do with your life when you grew up? And for myself, I'm interested in your answer to that one too. When you were a young man or a boy, what did you think that you'd end up doing? And I was always drawn to the stage, I guess, whether it was athletics or was the theater, and of course the practice of criminal law is all about presenting a story, presenting the facts in front of a jury or in front of a judge, and telling a story, getting people engaged in the question of what would I do if I was in that type of situation. I also came from a pretty tough school. They used to say my school had in its school newspaper an obituary column. That's not true, but it was a pretty tough school. So many of my classmates I looked at and thought, well, you're likely going to go to jail and you're going to need somebody to help you along that path.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I'm the person that can probably do that and assist you, I hope. So, what about
Well,
you, Kevin, as a child when you were growing up? What did you want to be?
as a child, my first my first response to that would be I wanted to be a truck driver, believe it or not.
Hmm.
When I was young, riding a bike, growing up, the first thing was trucks fascinated me. I just thought they were the most you you saw that one movie. What I can't remember the name of it. I what Transformers, where you got those cars and trucks turning into this great big whatever it is. You ever seen Transformers?
I don't think I have.
Well, man, I tell you, if you ever look it up, most people out there may know what I'm talking about, but they turned into these big creatures from another space.
Yikes.
Yeah, and they were huge. I mean, you look up at them, it's almost looking up at God. You're like, wow, So that fascinated me to see a truck, because I always looked at a truck like that can do anything. But then as I got older,
Mm-hmm.
as every young kid's dream, I was an athletic person.
Right, I know that.
I I was determined to be a great athlete. I was back in high school, I was like a Jerry Rice in college. I stayed after practice. I ran the extra mile, but I didn't want to do any weights. I didn't want to go in the weight room for nothing. I hated weights. All I wanted to do was calisthenics. Give me a jumping jack, a push up, a pull up, sit up. I'm great with that all day, every day. But if you're telling me to lift something heavier than me, I'll see you later. So,
Wow.
but I mean, we were a great football franchise, football team in high school. I was basically an All-American in track. I even cheated a little bit and went over and played some baseball during track season.
And then it all suddenly changed for you, though, didn't it, Kevin?
Yeah, it changed for me instantly. In high
Tell me
school,
about that. Tell me about what changed.
well, in high school, one game, first of all, changed my life. One game. Right before we got ready to go to the playoffs, I broke not one but both ankles. Both. I ran off the field and ended up on basically in a wheelchair. I had to sit on the outside looking in. And then during that time, I met a friend. And that friend used to smoke weed. And I'm like, well, I can't play any football right now, and that might be a nice direction to go. But that was the worst decision I had ever made in my life, right there. Because if I had not have taken that one hit of that joint back then that they called it, I would have stayed focused and elevated and completed my career.
Wow, that's very interesting because some states and of course Canada, where I live, has now legalized it.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Well, it's legal here too.
Okay.
But it doesn't change because even being legal, it wasn't the legal aspect that
you didn't care about that. Yeah.
Well, if they don't know, they don't. If they don't know,
They don't know.
Yeah, right. But it wasn't the legal aspect that damaged me. It was the physical that damaged me.
Why do you think you went that route? What were you trying to fill? Was it just
I think
amusement and curiosity?
No.
Did you have something that was hurting within you? What was the reason?
I wanted to fit in.
Oh.
I wanted to be cool. I wanted to hang with the people that I thought were cool. Now, mind you, other people thought I was cool. But I didn't see that.
Right.
I thought they were cool. So I wanted to go ease over and hang out with them. And in order for me to really be cool and hang out with them, I had to do what they did.
Isn't at the root of that a lack of confidence? We see so many people comparing themselves to either something they think they want to be, or somebody that they admire, or something that they want to acquire.
Yeah.
This whole comparison thing,
I think,
I can see how a young man could be caught up in that.
well, it hasn't changed as an adult for many people because most people are focused, well, I don't want to say most, but many people are focused on trying to win a popularity contest. Everybody wants to be popular in some way, shape, form, or fashion. On Facebook, I got 5,000 friends. I got 12,000 hits on my video.
Why? Why?
I don't know. Well, I always tell people, Steve, if you're not my true friend, unfriend me. And as long as I have one friend on my Facebook account named Jesus, I'm good. Because I'm not trying to win a popularity contest. I just want to do what I really enjoy doing and what I truly feel like I've been called to do. This is no coincidence that I can do this very well. I know I can do it well, but it's not me that's in control. I just get up and do things, and it turns out fine. And when it was all taken from me, we go back to that time when we were talking about decisions and choices. I had an opportunity to turn and go a totally different direction than where I am right now. And I didn't.
But you're pretty confident now. Where does that confidence come from? I think I know the answer, but you tell us.
Well,
Where does your confidence come from, Kevin?
my confidence first and foremost comes from above, but it comes from within my family. Because when my family is supportive, and when I know that deep down inside I'm doing the right thing based on what God has allowed me to do, based on passion, joy. I mean, I have a true passion. People don't know that when I was young, I had nothing to do. When I was young, I used to sneak down in the basement. And my big brother, God rest his soul, my big brother used to be a DJ. And I used to sneak down at night because I'm upstairs in my pajamas. I'm too young to be downstairs. But I used to sneak down and I used to watch him. I never got involved with indulging or seeing or caring what they did in the basement party. I used to just watch him. And I thought what he did was fascinating. I'm like, look at him. Wow. That is, he can, and all he was doing was taking that needle and putting it on the record. Back then it was records, Steve.
I remember.
Yeah,
I remember.
It was
my
records,
friend.
and he used to put a nickel on top of it.
To weigh it down.
Yeah.
That's what you did.
I remember that.
I remember that.
He used to put a nickel on top of it because that needle used to garner so much dust.
Yeah.
And he used to play a record. And I used to say,
What was the song he played, Kev?
Well,
What was his favorite song?
well, back then, there was a favorite song that my brother had that it was up a little bit, but it's called Ain't No Stopping Us Now.
I know that song.
Ain't no stopping us now. He loved that song. I hated that. He played that song so much that I had to love it. But
you know the words.
He loved that song. And I heard that song in my sleep. And when I got older, I used to play that song. And people used to kind of think I was crazy. Now, in the middle of a party, I'm calling myself jamming. And then here I come with Ain't No Stopping Us Now. Thinking that that's going to be a hit to those people that can care less about that song. But I'm giving it away, Steve. I'm telling you. I used to watch him, and I said to myself back then, I want to do that when I
want to
grow
be
up.
that guy. Wow.
I want to do that.
Did you do it? Did you end up doing it?
I'm still doing it.
You're still doing it. Ain't no stopping you now, I guess.
Ain't no. Man, don't you get me fired up over here. Well, Steve, I tell you, man, I am grateful for your presence. I'm grateful for you accepting the invitation to be my friend, to be a part of the GMAP Broadcast Network family. I'm just grateful that you've allowed us to be a part of your journey. And
Well, it goes the same way, Kevin. I just want to say, I never thought I would ever partner with a former felon. And it scares me sometimes, but I guess I have to take a step of faith. And I think I know the man behind the mic. And I'm still getting to know you, and you're still getting to know me. But let's all make this holiday season coming up. I know it's early. We're not in November yet, but let's make this holiday season a great one for you.
Yeah.
You spoke about the problems that you've been facing.
Yeah.
You spoke about the challenges. You've been forthright with that, and let's partner together to try and change those things so that you have a better holiday season and that your focus is where it needs to be.
Yeah.
So,
well, I tell
let's
you,
do that together.
I tell you, with people coming together, and as I embrace me having a great holiday season, I embrace being able to give one to my family.
Absolutely.
And that's something that over the years I feel like I have not been able to accomplish. I mean, I go through the motions. I provide when and where I can, and I do what I can. But the holiday season is a very trying time, a very tough time for me. Because
for a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
And sometimes I feel like I just can't do enough. When it all boils down to just really being there.
That's true.
It really does. And as long as I'm there, I'm not in trouble. I'm not looking over my shoulder. I'm not out there on drugs or alcohol. I'm not locked up in jail. As long as I'm there. Because you know what, Steve, before I let you go, you know what? My son had an event, and we were invited. Of course, we went down to New York. We went down to New York, to West Point.
Mm-hmm.
And as I looked around, I wonder why he had such a proud look on his face. Now we're looking proud at him. He's accomplished something. He's doing very well. But I'm looking around and I'm saying, why is my son so proud? And it came down to, out of everybody in that place, there were probably 3% fathers there. I saw 97% women.
Right.
And I saw no men.
So true.
And I'm wondering. And then I come back home and we go to an event with my son here in this area. And I'm looking around and I'm realizing that out of all the parents and the people here, where are the fathers? The moms are here. Right. The moms are supportive. The moms are standing firm. As a matter of fact, you had two ladies in some cases, a mother and a grandmother. But where are the fathers? And here I am standing up, almost feeling out of place because there's no fathers there. So I said all that to say this. As long as this holiday season allows me to be there with and for my family. Mission accomplished. I'm happy with that. And that will accomplish being the best holiday season ever. Case closed.
Well said. Well said. Case closed.
I rest
You're
my-
saving my life. Case closed.
Hey, I was gonna say
no further submission.
Yeah. I was gonna say I rest my case, but
I rest my case.
Steve, man, I tell you, man, it was a pleasure. I am looking forward to our next conversation in the very near future here on GMAP. I don't know what our topic is going to be because we tend to jump around from time to time.
We do.
You know, but that's okay. You know, conversation, just having good old conversation is good. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, just in closing, again, I want to thank you and your listeners for giving me the opportunity to speak with you. And again, let's get back so we can all move forward and let's move forward together.
I appreciate that. I
Let's do
appreciate
that.
you, and I look forward to doing just that. Give back so we can move forward. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, you be blessed, be a blessing, and we look forward to having a great conversation with my friend, featured author here on GMAP Broadcast Network, Steve Hamilton. Until then, you all be blessed and be a blessing. Have a great rest of your day, and we shall see you next time.
Thank you.